literally threw her weight against it, and it swung suddenly inward, catapulting her into the middle of the room, where she came to a sudden, ungraceful stop. The two men talking to Mr. Lynch, the store owner, turned around to stare at her in surprise, but Mr. Lynch had the most surprised look of all. If Abigail hadn't been so angry, she would have seen two square-jawed, obviously related and ruggedly handsome young men, but all she saw was two dirty Irish immigrants smelling of sweat and animals. "Are you the two men who own the wagon outside?" she demanded. The older of the two answered, "Aye." "Didn't you see me standing in the street? Just look what you've done to my dress. You could have stopped and let me cross, or gone to the other side of the street. Why didn't you?" The older man grinned and cast twinkling eyes on his younger brother. "Sure now, Ross. Will you be telling her why you didn't stop for her?" The younger man straightened, and his ruddy complexion grew 2 shades darker as he looked at Abigail. He swallowed, and a fierce devilment glowed in his eyes. "Sure now, I thought you wanted to be splashed, standing there like you were next to that big puddle." Abigail stiffened, her eyes sparking dangerously. They were enjoying her anger, and there was nothing to be gained by being further humiliated. Looking at all 3 of the men witheringly, she stated, "I think it's a sad day for this town when a lady can't expect a little courtesy and consideration from the men of the community." Meaningfully, she looked Mr. Lynch straight in the eyes, then, turning on her heel, marched stiff back to the door and, with a last gesture of anger, pulled it shut as hard as she could after her. She wanted the slamming door to emphasize her anger, but it caught with a dull thud instead, making as much impression as she felt her speech had. Frustration added to anger. She stalked back up the street into the town clerk's office, plopped the papers down, and walked out without a word, leaving the clerk to look after her and wonder at why this usually smiling girl, who always had a cheerful word to say, was in such a state. She went into the bank and slammed the door with some satisfaction, and her father looked up in surprise. He pulled the pince-nez off his fine-boned nose and asked, "What in the world happened to you?" She stormed across the floor and blurted, "Some of those awful pig farmers splashed me with their wagon, and they didn't even have the courtesy to stop and apologize." Elias Whittaker frowned. "Well, you can't look like that. Go home and change." "Thank you, Father. I'll be back as soon as I can." Abigail entered the large, comfortable 2-story house, situated on a side street a block from the bank. It was a fitting residence for the family of the richest man in town, owner of the bank. Abigail found her mother in the elegant parlor, busy with her handiwork. Lucia Whittaker looked up with shock at the sight of her daughter. "Good heavens, Abigail! What happened to you?" Abigail explained, and her petite, warmly rounded mother, her hair still a youthful golden color, only a shade or 2 duller than Abigail's, clucked in dismay and immediately took over the task of helping her daughter change. Abigail returned to the bank and quickly became absorbed in her work as she tried to catch up for the time lost in the morning, almost forgetting the incident that had upset her so. Her father had a local resident in his private office, and Abigail was alone in the front of the bank until the door opened. She looked up, and the anger of the morning came rushing back to her. Entering her domain was the younger of the men she had so angrily chastised, and she glared at him, daring him to take one more step into her presence. Step he did, and snatched belatedly the cap from his head, loosing a lock of dark chestnut hair to fall over his forehead. With a shy but serious little smile, he stopped before her and offered, "I be here to apologize for splashing you this morning. If you'll be giving me the dress now, I'll take it to me mother to wash for you." Tempering just a little, she answered, "Thank you, but it's already taken care of." She turned her eyes downward to her work, hoping he would leave. She heard him shift uneasily, and after a long silence, he said, less shyly,